Hello scientists and welcome back to our learning journey. Today's date is Monday the 4th of May 2020 and we're looking at our learning journey question, how does a plant's environment affect its growth? Thank you so much for all of your hard work last week. It was really fantastic to see what you already knew about the subject, but also the questions you wanted answered. So hopefully throughout this week we'll start to answer some of those brilliant questions you had. So just like at school, I'm going to show you our weekly planner for this week so we know how we're going to improve our knowledge of the subject, but also how we're going to work scientifically. Lots of you put in our KWH grid, lots of you put that we need to know what different parts of a plant does, so their different functions. So for today we're going to be looking at the can I statement. Can I identify parts of flowering plants and explain their functions? Then next up in the week we're going to think about what plants need to grow, obviously very important to help us answer our question, and also then we're going to do an investigation about how water is transported in plants, and I've had lots and lots of fun doing that this week, so it's going to be a really fun week full of science. Now, to develop as scientists and to become better scientists, you're going to be working on recording information using labelled diagrams. We're going to do that today, and also making predictions and explaining our thinking. Our final outcome for this learning journey, so we've got 3 weeks, is going to be to use the knowledge that we've acquired to write a good plant growing guide, and that will answer our question. So let's get started. You're going to need a piece of paper and you're going to need a pen and a pencil and a ruler, please. So write today's date, Monday the 4th of May 2020 at the top of your page, and our can I statement. Can I identify parts of flowering plants and explain their functions? And underline them both, please. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is watch a video, and afterwards I'd like you to see if you can answer some quick quiz questions. Okay, let me just get the video up for us. Okay, here we go.
I'm busy. Aunt Ivy, I brought you another... Stop! What are you doing?
I'm getting rid of all the ugly bits I don't need. These hands don't have fingers. You can't even see these little toes. They're hidden in the ground. And this neck, way too long.
No, you can't just keep all the pretty bits. It's like, a human body. All the bits are needed and have their own function. That means a job that they do. If we didn't have bones, we wouldn't be able to hold our heads up. If you didn't have a stomach, you wouldn't be able to break down food. And if you didn't have lungs, you wouldn't be able to breathe.
That's not true. Well, I've never seen a plant breathe or eat, and they definitely don't have bones. I don't think.
Their parts all have functions. What do you think a stem does?
Well, that's easy. It's to see above the rest of the flowers, of course.
No, the stem supports the plant and transports water and nutrients.
Nutrients?
Food.
Ah, gotcha.
All around the plant, okay? What about the leaves?
Oh, that's easy. It's for waving at its friends.
No, the leaves help the plant make food for itself.
Greedy.
And the roots?
Well, they don't do anything. They just make a mess.
The roots keep the plant in the ground and absorb water and nutrients. They're like, straws. They suck up all the bits they need from the soil.
But The flower's the only bit I like because it's got pretty colours and it smells nice.
Finally, you got close, but there's much more to it than that.
Well, why does the flower have to look pretty?
The flower has to look pretty and smell nice so that bees can come and visit them.
Oh, thanks for explaining that to me.
So, here's the plant I was bringing you.
Thank you. I promise I will take much better care of it.
Okay, let's go back to our presentation. So in that film, remember you can always go back and watch it again, we had some new pieces of vocabulary which you can include on your dojo journal, on your portfolio, or alternatively you could add to your vocabulary bank if you're doing it on paper. So these bits of new vocabulary were nutrients. These substances are needed by living things to grow and survive. Plants get nutrients from the soil and also make their own food in their leaves. And function. Function means the job each part of a plant has to do. So pause the video now, add those to your vocabulary bank, and then get ready for our next activity. So, a nice quick activity now. You're going to just write true or false to each one of these statements, and then I'll reveal the answers. So write the numbers 1 through to 5 down on your page, and true or false. What do you think from the video that we just watched? Number 1, leaves absorb water and nutrients from the soil. True or false? Is that what leaves do? Number 2, roots anchor the plant into the ground. Number 3, the stem or trunk of the plant makes food for the plant using sunlight and carbon dioxide from the air. Is that the function of the stem? Number 4, flowers don't have any function, they just look pretty. And number 5, roots are usually long and covered in small hairs. Give the video a pause there, and once you're ready, come back to see the answers. True or false? Okay, here we go. Number 1 is false. Leaves don't absorb water. That's right. What is it instead? It's roots. So that one's false. Number 2, roots anchor the plant into the ground. That is true. That's another one of the jobs the roots has. Number 3 is false. The stem or trunk of the plant doesn't make its own food. That's the job of the leaves. And number 4, flowers don't have any function, they just look pretty. That is false. Of course, they have a very important job to do. Okay, and we're going to look at that in a bit more detail in a moment and across the coming weeks. Number 5, roots are usually long and covered in small hairs. That is actually true. Okay, give yourself a little tick or a pat on the back if you got those true or false. And let's have a look at our final activity for today. So, I'm going to talk you through in a bit more detail the jobs that each part of the plant does, and then you're going to draw and label your own plant with each part of the plant and the jobs that they do. So you can always come back to this part of the video if you get a little bit stuck for your activity in a moment. So roots. They grow underneath a plant below the surface of the soil. They're usually long and covered in small hairs. They anchor the plant into the ground, so keep it there in the ground, and they absorb, which means take up, water and nutrients from the soil. What next? The stem or the trunk of the plant. Branches, leaves and flowers grow from the stem or trunk. A trunk is woody and often has a layer of bark around it. So what job does it do? The stem or trunk holds the plant up. It also carries water and nutrients from the roots to the leaves. So the leaves have a very important job to do in a plant. The leaves make food for the plant using sunlight and carbon dioxide from the air. We're going to look at that in a bit more detail as well later on in the week. And finally, flowers. So they are brightly coloured and look pretty to attract insects and birds. Insects carry pollen to other flowers, and then flowers use the pollen to make seeds to grow new plants, so they're really important. Here's your activity for today then, your main activity. I would like you to draw a flowering plant, just like you can see on the screen here. It could be a sunflower or another flowering plant. And I'd like you to split it into 4 sections. Using a ruler and a pencil, I would like you to carefully label what each part of the flower is. And I would like you next to that to write an explanation of the job, so the function of each part of the flower, each part of the plant, the flowering plant. So here I've given you some sentences with some blank parts so that you can use these to help you to explain what each part of the plant does, so the function of each part of the plant. You can use these sentences to help you, or you can write your own based on what you've learned from this video. So for example, the roots something the plant into the ground. Hopefully you know now that the roots anchor the plant into the ground, so hold the plant in the ground. They something water and something from the soil, so that was they absorb water and nutrients from the soil. So you can use these sentences to help you, or write your own sentences and add any extra information that you can. Remember to set out your work neatly and clearly, just like a scientist would, because we're really focusing on doing this accurately and using a label diagram. Okay, well done, Year 3 and Year 4, and keep up the hard work.